You are listening to the TV Obsessive podcast, brought to you by TVObsessive.com.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 125 of the TV Obsessive Podcast. My name is Ryan Kirksey, writer and contributor for TVObsessive.com, and joined once again by Cameron Crane, executive editor for the site. We're not going to do it now, but I don't know that I've been as excited as I am to talk about an episode of television as what we're going to talk about today. I know we got a few things to do first, but I am really looking forward to this one for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, me too. We're going to talk about Task, episode 6. I guess is the penultimate episode in the series. I would expect. Fairly confident this is going to be a limited series, although you never know. I've certainly seen quote unquote everyone talking about it. So it's definitely kind of caught fire or buzz or whatever. It's a very good show. Yeah, so I guess you never know, right? Sometimes things are a limited series and they're successful enough, they decide to make more anyway.
Yeah.
And if they did, kind of in this universe, I'd be happy to live in this world for another season, so we'll see there. But yeah, first, as per usual, we'll talk about what's been in the news a bit. I think we have some interesting things here. It's October 15th. Let's talk about The Chair Company, which premiered on Sunday.
Yeah, another HBO product. This came out on Sunday night. This is a Tim Robinson production along with his normal crew. I have to say, saw a piece on our site about it, saw several people chatting about how interesting this was, went into it knowing nothing, not knowing what to expect, and was pretty blown away. Don't know if I've seen anything like this before.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. As you mentioned, Chris Sheridan's writing on it for TVObsessive.com. I feel like he might be the biggest Tim Robinson fan I know, for whatever that's worth. Got me to watch The Detroiters, for example. Did you ever watch that one at all?
I haven't seen that, nor have I seen I Think You Should Leave.
You haven't watched I Think You Should Leave
I
either,
haven't
right?
seen either of those, no.
Well, I imagine at least with I Think You Should Leave, you have encountered memes.
Yes, yes,
Show's
I have.
very
Yes.
memeable. I would recommend it, although, it's not for everyone. That it's just clearly not for everyone. It's a particular kind of humor.
Yeah.
And you do see that, I think, carrying over to The Chair Company. But one of the things I think is interesting is, of course, I Think You Should Leave is a sketch comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
Detroiters isn't, but I think it was Alan Sepinwall I read saying something like Detroiters was kind of a sketch show in disguise. And that
Yeah,
feels
okay.
right to me, like it was episodic, but it was the premise of that one is that they run a local advertising agency in Detroit. So it is kind of, it's not fully a sketch show, but then it is kind of like, oh well, here's the advertisement for the local business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the Chair Company is instead fully narrative. It does feel a bit to me like Tim Robinson. I mean, he's pretty close to a character, and I Think You Should Leave sketch, but it's going to carry forward as also like a kind of conspiracy thriller
Yes.
um, about a share company, which I find very humorous.
So I watched this with, and certainly have now gone back and just sort of seen, your understanding of Detroiters and explanation of what that is. The sketch show, I Think You Should Leave. I couldn't help but think, not in terms of style of humor or what they do, but couldn't help thinking of comparing it to Nathan Fielder a bit. I
Okay.
was also sort of late to the party on Nathan Fielder. Went back and watched some of his earlier HBO stuff after the rehearsal, but sort of noticed his, I don't know, transition, but at least temporary move into the curse and this role in a very narrative-driven story. And now seeing Tim Robinson doing the same, and been just impressively entertained by both of those. And I think Chair Company is going to be something I certainly finish now.
Yeah, I'm definitely into it. And I've seen, I think that's a fair comparison too. I've seen some others make that, um, where even going to the point of suggesting something like the rehearsal is to Nathan Fielder, the
Mm.
Chair Company, is to Tim Robinson. Like like in both instances, HBO is just kind of giving them money and like, go for it, buddy.
Yeah,
Just
do it. Just do
you
it.
know, go full fielder. Like yeah, go full Tim Robinson. So yeah, I do have a question for you. Hopefully, this doesn't feel like a spoiler at all to anyone. But have you ever had a chair break underneath you when you were sitting down?
I don't think so. I know that's sort of the premise here, but yeah, I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, it has happened to me, and
Oh boy.
I mean, there's a trauma might feel like too strong a word, but there is almost a trauma to it,
Yeah.
because you trust the chair.
Yes. Yeah.
If you think about it, all the time, you're trusting chairs all the time. You just sit
Yeah.
down. You know what I mean? And so to have that experience of sitting down in the chair and having it just like collapse under your weight because the chair breaks, it is fairly, I don't know if traumatic is too strong a term. So anyway, yeah, apologies. I think, it's more or less the premise. That's what gets him looking into the chair company
Yeah.
in this show. And do recommend people check it out, particularly anyone listening who is a fan of, Tim Robinson's other stuff. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you're not, there's a certain vibe to it that I think is similar here as elsewhere, which I well understand. Some people hate it,
Yeah.
and
There,
much
there's
like
some
with,
there's some cringiness to this. So yeah, those that are anti-cringe should tread lightly.
yeah, and like much like with Fielder, if someone hates this stuff, I get it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. It's just, but I rather enjoy it. So looking forward to continuing it on that one. I've also got Invasion. That season's wrapping up here in like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been writing on that for the site. If anyone's been watching that show and you want to go check out my recaps, really unclear to me whether there's going to be more Invasion after this season. Maybe we'll talk about that more after
Hmm.
the season finale. But yeah, I've been trying to look into it, and it seems like Simon Kinberg's out there in an article from a year ago saying he wants 4 seasons. And I think the thing that's really gotten to me is when I go on IMDb, it says 2021 to 2025. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
There's an
usually
end
it's
date.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, usually it's when something's open ended, there's no end date. So we'll see on that
Yeah.
one. Anyhow, move forward. We got some other news. Something we know is ending that I've also written on from the beginning. Yellow Jackets officially announced it's going to be ending with season 4. Thoughts about this, Ryan? I know you watched this as well.
Yeah, I think there's always been this discussion of would they get initially they may have wanted 5 seasons to finish this story. I don't, I hesitate to say that the show has been in decline since season one, but it's been hard to reach the heights of season one. I think that at least having this finality, we should, and they are focusing on a very clear, very powerful end to this story. I think season three left a pretty interesting cliffhanger. And so while this has been one of my favorites now, gosh, this has been 5 years or so that we've had this show. I'm glad they're letting it go out on its own terms, at least in terms of telling the story and not just it's not what it used to be. We're done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that back during season 1, there were some remarks coming from the show creators, actually Lyle and Bart Nickerson. I don't know which one of them, or if it was somehow both of them. Anyway, there were some remarks out there about them wanting 5 seasons, and that maybe stuck in people's minds a bit. But
Yeah.
I have to say, after season 3, it really does feel to me like, okay, there's one more
Yeah.
season of story. I don't
Yeah.
see 2 more seasons of story.
How would you do
And
two more? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unless they had something up their sleeves that you just weren't going to see coming at all, like some entirely new plot line or something. But from reading the news, it sounds like no, they're on board with this. I mean, they're doing their kind of what like PR speak kind of thing, but it
Yeah.
feels pretty close to them saying, "Yeah, we only have one more season of story."
Yeah.
I mean, like, so I'm fine with it. As you say, I do feel like it has gone downhill a bit from the heights of season 1, because when this show came out, it was like my favorite thing ever,
Right.
practically. I was telling everyone to watch this show.
Right.
Just thought season 1 was great. Season 2 had its moments. think it was around the end of season 2 where I started going, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
that was the point. The way the season 2 ended, and there's certainly been high points along the way. But, like, are we know exactly where we're going with this when when all that season 2 sort of culminated? So yeah, it's really hard to talk about without out spoilers. But yeah, that season 1 that'll sort of live in infamy, as it were, for the classic television season, especially a just sort of out of nowhere word of mouth. This is everybody's got to watch it type of thing.
yeah, yeah. I did. I mean, I was, you can almost just watch the pilot of Yellow Jackets as a
Mhm.
film and stop and
Yeah.
just like let your imagination go from there or something. Yeah, I do think that certainly I endorse all of season 1. And then, yeah, I had really mixed feelings at the end of season 2. Managed to kind of bring myself back around on it, but then season 3 didn't really make me feel better.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, it had its moments for sure, and I'm looking forward to season 4. But um, not sad that they're ending it. I think it's probably the right decision here.
Yeah, and they're also a little bit, not as much, but a little bit suffering from the Stranger Things problem, where there's a lot of teenagers looking like they're 32 years old out there in the wilderness right now.
I haven't felt that too much. I was thinking more about, it almost feels like every Showtime show goes like this, or like
Yes.
it starts out like, man, this show is so great. And then you get to like season 3, you're like, is this show still good? It almost feels like every Showtime show goes like that for some reason. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I guess the original Dexter made it through at least 4 seasons before people
Right,
started feeling
right.
it downhill. But let's see, other things on the horizon. Um, Knight of Seven Kingdoms, I guess briefly. We did get a teaser. I think we were talking about this last week, or the week before. Yeah, I think it was last week. With some expectations that they would release a trailer at
Yeah,
Comic
with
Con,
there
and
there
they
was
did.
a strong indication they would have a trailer around New York City Comic Con, which was released. I think maybe in the day after we recorded last week. I resonate with this link that we'll put in here and some of the things that it comments on. They're trying to do a very good job of making you understand that you don't need to have watched 7 seasons of Game of Thrones and 2 seasons of House of the Dragon to come in and understand what's going on here. This is a very standalone. This is a novella. This is not part of a series of long books. This is a character study, I think, is what the piece here points out. Also, quite a bit more humor, maybe than I'm used to in some
Yeah,
Thrones products. So yeah, I'm interested to see. I'll certainly be watching and all in on this.
yeah, that was the comment I was going to make. Like, why does this trailer feel like it's for a comedy?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a spit take in there.
There
It's
is. There is.
so yeah, kind of curious. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I think I probably will check this out, but it's a strange one. We've talked about this before, but for me, with House of the Dragon, it's almost like the moments I enjoy the most are the opening credits where the old Game of
Mm,
Thrones song is playing. That there's something I'm very much indulging in a certain kind of nostalgia when I watch
yes.
House of Dragon. And when I'm enjoying it, it is very much along the lines of like, oh, this reminds me of watching Game of Thrones when Game of Thrones was really good. Maybe it's not quite as good, but
Hmm.
I'm invested. I want to know what's going to happen and so on. So if the trailer for Night of the Seven Kingdoms is any indication, as you mentioned, some of the comments around it that they're kind of trying to separate it off a bit,
Yeah.
then I don't know. Because like if it feels like a buddy comedy in the Middle Ages, like what am I watching Robin Hood Men in Tights or something?
It will be interesting to see how they try to thread that needle between the diehards and the Thrones heads that have, are absorbing every detail of everything and have read these novellas 100 times versus those that, hey, I've never seen these before, I've never heard of them, but I do want to go check in because, the last name Targaryen is here and just see what this is about. There's kind of, how to appeal to both. I'll be very interested to see how they do that.
Yeah, we'll see. I can't say from the trailer I'm super confident it's going to work, but I'll withhold judgment. The tone of a trailer is not always the tone of the thing.
Right.
I'm just from watching the trailer, that was the big thing I started thinking about was, just like, is this going to feel like Game of Thrones?
Yes. Yes.
And wasn't clear to me that it will. Uh, let's see, much sooner. We've talked about Death by Lightning before. This is coming to Netflix in early November. We got a trailer for this as well, and sounds like you're feeling pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, I was pretty impressively shocked by this trailer. I mean, Michael Shannon as President Garfield, McFadden off of Succession and some of the things he's done as this guy who's trying his hardest to get into the inner circle, but ends up looks like being the guy who pulls the trigger. I just encourage people to go watch this trailer and tell me you're not interested in it after after you see it because this looks. I mean, it's also kind of hard to nail down the tone of this. Like it looks in parts to be dark, look in parts to be sort of
Yeah,
um
looks like
not,
it's going to be a
not
dark comedy.
yeah, that's exactly what it seems like, which is interesting for a assassination historical biography tale set in the 1880s. But yeah, I think this is going to be on the list.
Yeah, I'm into this one. I know we've talked about it before, and I feel like the reasons we've been talking about it since the first we read of it was along the lines of, man, what a cast,
Yes,
and
yes.
so now you're watching the trailer and you're like, yeah, man, what a cast, like Nick Offerman's in there, and Bradley Whitford's in there.
Betty Gilpin from Mrs. Davis is in
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, she's great. Yeah, I almost forgot about her. And it's interesting because I don't feel like I know a ton about James Garfield.
No
I
way.
don't really
No,
even
not at all.
remember learning about this in any kind of detail in history class or anything, you know? And so I'm refraining from looking into it further before the show comes out, but I definitely think I will watch the show. Like I
Same,
was thinking about
same.
it, I was watching the trailer, I was like, I don't even know what James Garfield's politics were like. I have
I
no
am
idea.
sure in U.S. history they spent a day on this, and I just recall nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so part of me is tempted to go read the Wikipedia page right now, but I'm going to hold off. It looks like it's only going to be 4 episodes,
Yeah,
and
four part limited series. Yep.
since it's Netflix, I assume they'll drop all at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really am thinking I'm gonna try to get on this one shortly after it comes out, which I think it's like November 6th, somewhere in there.
Yes, I
It's
believe
like
that's
right
right.
around
Yep.
the same time as Pluribus,
Yes,
maybe the
same
same
day
day.
before, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a wrinkle.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get on this one. And yeah, we got some good TV going on. And every week I could mention the lowdown. I'm still watching the lowdown. The lowdown is
Yeah.
very good. Just watch the lowdown.
I still got to get on that after we finish task.
Um, Something I'm far less sure about, but I thought was interesting. We were talking last week, like, oh, they're going to make this Clue reality show, and I do recall some time ago reading about, I don't know if it was multiple things or just the one thing, but companies like buying this IP, I
Yeah.
think after the success of the Barbie movie and stuff like that. Um, in the works from M. Night Shyamalan, a TV series about the magic 8 ball. Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I read this and then I thought, yeah, they mentioned Barbie. I thought Tetris movie. I thought the BlackBerry movie. I thought, yeah, I was talking about Clue. They're just, I mean, just literally grabbing items from past pop culture and saying we're gonna produce things about this. I mean, there's sort of a word jumble here of how they're going to make this into some sort of high concept show, but boy, I don't know this. You'll have to sell it to me or prove it to me, I
I
guess.
mean, I can kind of see it, some kind of like thriller, or I don't know how close we are to horror or whatever. M.
Yeah,
Night
yeah,
Shyamalan, that brings to mind various things, including it made me start thinking like the twist is going to be that it was just a toy all along. I don't know,
yes,
man. I guess at least I can kind of see how they could do something around the Magic 8 ball as opposed to
yeah,
I don't know, Play-Doh or something. I
yeah.
guess a play
The
like
Magic Eight Ball can tell the future or something. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Play-Doh is not a good example because uh, whatever. Um, Most minor news of the week probably, although I don't know, maybe we care. Apple TV Plus is just dropping the plus, or has
Yes.
already dropped the plus.
Yeah.
Thoughts about this?
Uh,
Feelings?
The thought is it's already been hard enough for me to explain to my mother and mother-in-law the difference between their Apple TV box and Apple TV Plus, app that they have to have. Now it's going to be even more complicated to get that all set up for people. So, I mean,
Yeah.
good for them, whatever.
I don't know. I was reading the comments from the execs and stuff here, and I guess my big comment, Ryan, is like I almost feel like I care more than they do. It was very odd to me as I was reading their comments, because yeah, as you mentioned, Apple TV has like always been the name of like the hardware, right?
Yep,
Like
yep,
you can buy like a Roku, but it's an Apple TV. I don't have one, but
correct.
it's so then Apple TV Plus always made this is what's weird. This plus makes more sense to me than any of the other pluses ever
That's right.
have.
That's
Why
right.
is this one being dropped? Because also, all right, so you call it Apple TV Plus to distinguish it from Apple TV, which is the hardware. And then I also always thought the plus also signifies the fact that they make movies and stuff like
Yeah,
that. You know
that's
what I
right.
mean?
That's right.
So whatever. I don't know.
Let me
I don't
just
know.
read a few exact quotes from their executives in this piece. It's a great time to do it, so let's just do it. I guess that was their rationale behind it. Um, uh, the streaming service is doing fine. It's a lot harder than it looks. I mean, these are things that their executives are saying about what's going on over there. So this is truthfully, they are just Apple, so they can spend whatever they want on this, and they're just, we'll just keep it going however we want.
Yeah, I think there's also something in there where, it's almost a separate topic, but the article gets into what their numbers look like, and the execs say, like, we're not going
Yeah,
to tell you. It's higher than that. We're not going to tell you.
that's right.
You're like, what? What? Okay, okay, man. Anyway, yeah, that's almost a separate topic, but
Oh boy.
I mean, and a part of it's running the site and all of that, and so I'm certainly not going to go back through all of our articles and remove the plus.
No, no.
I guess we'll stop using the plus moving forward.
Yeah.
But why do they, that's why I say I almost feel like I care more than these executives do, because it creates this like weird minor hassle in
Yes.
terms of the website, the HBO Max stuff too, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Is this HBO? Is it Max? Is it HBO Max? It's like, I don't know. Just be consistent in your branding. You're supposed to care about your
Yeah.
branding.
A lot of that changing. A lot of that changing.
But yeah, I love that quote where it was just like, it's a great time to do it. Let's just do it. You're like, why is it a great time to do it? I don't
Oh,
like
corporate shenanigans. Who
it
knows?
feels like there was no reasoning behind this at all.
No,
Someone just
there's
said
really
like,
not.
hey, well, why don't we just drop the plus? And we went, all right, why not?
Yeah, yeah. Somebody just had the idea. Let's just call everything the same thing, and what people figured it out, and they said, okay.
Well, and there's this reasoning about how they have other apps that use the plus, but only for the premium
Right.
But this deadline article points out, that's not consistent either. So
Nope.
anyhow, I'm sure
Uh,
no one cares. That's the thing. It's like outside of a circle like the one we're in, no one cares.
no one cares.
What
Yep.
about the HBO Max stuff too? I've just talked to random friends who watch these shows, and they just don't like they don't make any distinction between HBO and the streaming service and whatever. Um, all right. Well, speaking of HBO, we are on an HBO series.
Yeah,
It's not an HBO Max series, right? It's an
that's right.
HBO series because it airs on HBO, whereas
Yes.
Peacemaker is an HBO Max series. Again, no one cares. Um, anyhow, we're on to episode 6 of Task. Title is Out Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing. There's a river. We'll have some things to say about that. Spoilers will be on the table for everything in Task through these first 6 episodes. We'll put in a little bit of music here and be back with you in just about 10 seconds.
Okay, we're back to talk about Task, episode 6 of the first season, Out Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing. There is a river. This episode written by Brad Inglesby, directed by Sally Richardson Whitfield. All right, buckle up. This episode opens with a shootout between Robbie, the FBI, and the Dark Hearts members who have all converged at the cabin in the woods. Tom is attacked in the cabin by Perry. Kathleen is shot in the shoulder. Grasso, Lizzie, and Leah get into a gunfight with Dark Hearts members, and Jason and Robbie battle after Robbie throws the bag he was carrying into the river. During the shootout, Robbie is stabbed and dies at Tom's arms on the way to the hospital. Kathleen's incapacitated. Aaliyah kills several of the Dark Hearts Club members. Lizzie is hit and killed by the truck that Jason and Perry are driving. Jason and Perry then manage to get away. Because an officer died, the FBI has to open an investigation and tells Tom that the task force has ended now that Sam is in child services. Tom tells Babe about Robbie's death, then helps convince the district attorney that Maeve had nothing to do with any of the crimes and they should not prosecute her. Tom then decides to take Sam home. Emily and Sarah question how he could make such a decision like that. Tom visits Kathleen and learns that Grasso had some things in his past that could lead to him being a mole, but Kath advises Tom to drop it. Instead of dropping it, Tom goes to Grasso's house, tells him that Lizzie would still be alive if someone hadn't changed the FBI's initial drug bust plan in the park. Grasso won't admit he had anything to do with it, but Tom gives him a warning and says, "I'm coming for you." Jason and Perry, while they're still in hiding, recover the bag that Robbie threw in the river, but it's a decoy full of magazines. And it's revealed that Robbie's plan all along was to work with Shelley to sell the drugs. At the end of the episode, Shelley drops off a huge bag of money for Maeve, Wyatt, and Harper. Wow, lot of stuff here. We speculated about how long this action sequence would last, how much time would be spent in the woods. It was a full 18-minute stretch before we even got the title card about this for the show. And again, I know I keep coming back to this, but much like his past show, Mayor of Easttown, you thought the resolution was coming, and there's still a lot more to do because we have a lot to do here in the finale.
Yeah, we do. We were speculating last week about the possibility that the finale would focus on the fallout, was the term I kept using, which I think I'll stick to. I don't feel like that's wrong in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
At one point I might have used the term denouement. I don't think it's a denouement exactly, you know what I mean? Because as you say, there's still stuff that needs to be hashed out. Kind of quite a bit that's outstanding, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for one, you've got Jason and Perry out there as fugitives. The authorities are after them and so on. There's also the dynamic between them, the question about what happened to Erin, which Jason is very worried about because she's just disappeared. Of course, we know
Yeah.
Perry killed her. So you'd expect that there will be some resolution on that front. And then arguably the main thing, which is how Tom has figured out that Grasso
Yeah.
was the mole and so on and so forth, right? We're not done there.
And I think also don't forget, or we can't forget the fact that we have a whole another level of conflict that's been introduced here. I don't think Maeve just gets a free bag of money with nobody coming to look for her, no one wondering where that is, no one, trying to figure out now that they've been double crossed, Jason and Perry, they're going to try to track it down. I mean, they know who was behind this. They know if he didn't throw the drugs in the river, he must have done something with them. So
Yeah.
I think Maeve's in big trouble now. I mean, we didn't expect that at the beginning or at the end of episode 5.
Yeah, at least potentially, unless Jason and Perry get arrested first, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? We really um we haven't done a very good job of predicting this show, but that's a compliment, I think,
That is a
right?
compliment.
So
Yeah. Kudos to Brad
there's
Eaglesby because it's been ahead of us the whole time. Yeah.
and everything's worked, you know what I mean? But yeah, quite a lot out there. And then the stuff with Sam, like that's something else I didn't really see coming.
Right.
But we were talking about, the how it would kind of connect up between Tom's family life
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the story and the case and so on. And this is certainly one way in which it's doing so, because he says, he's able to take Sam home from that facility because he's still on the books as a foster parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I wonder now, will we see something related to his adopted son who is about to undergo his sentencing? Does he see Sam as sort of I get to have a second chance with someone, or I get to, have a chance to make things right? Does he go and finally see his son who's in prison? I think now, I was sort of questioning this last week. Now I sort of see the connective tissue of how this is all being put together, if this all gets resolved. At least that line gets resolved next week.
Yeah, I'm sure there must be something coming along those lines. I do question the wisdom of going to Grasso's house and telling him, quote, "I'm coming for
By
you."
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I learned that this guy who is a cop also has connections with this dangerous motorcycle gang.
Yep.
Let me go all by myself and tell him, I figured out that you're a bad guy. I'm coming for you, mister. It doesn't feel like the best plan. We also saw the guy who, oh man, should have made a note of his name. I thought I was just going to remember his name.
Oh, like his boss,
Yeah, it's
Grasso's
like
boss,
Bagsley or something like that.
Michael Dorsey.
Yeah, okay. Who also is the one who signed off that he was cleared on the previous thing. So he's involved here. He's someone who's in a position of some authority, however that goes. Um, and it remains a question for me as to whether Kath is um corrupt along these lines, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks.
I that's still on the table, I think. We have not certainly been cleared from that. I mean, she had to ultimately sign off on the task force. So yeah, I don't think it's 100% either way right now.
Yeah, I mean, you might, I don't know, just watching the show, it might feel like, oh, well, she's clearly a good guy. She's out there in the woods with the good guys, shooting against the bad guys, and she gets shot and all of that. But I don't know that anything has cleared her of that suspicion. As we were
Nope.
talking about last week, I mean, it was a couple of weeks ago when she made that phone call, but it's still sticking in my mind the fact that she made that phone call and said, "It's me.
It's
We may
me.
have a problem." And the "it's
Yes.
me" part of it, I think, really does feed into the
And I
suspicion,
think,
as we
well,
were talking
yeah,
about
I do.
last week.
I can see how last week they tried to misdirect us by the internal affairs guy. The guy who was wearing the suit coming and saying, okay, yeah, that's just this is what we talked about. We may have a problem. And like, okay, that was who the phone call was to. But I think that could be a red herring trying to distract us from what actually Cat's motivations are.
Yeah, we don't know. So we'll see, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if we find out next week, where there's some moment like um maybe it's like they're gonna nail Grasso, and then somehow we find out that Kath is also corrupt or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, we've done a poor job of predicting what's gonna happen, so who knows? But definitely still on my mind. Let's go back. We kind of started at the end. Um, there are various things to talk about here. And I want to be sure to talk about Robbie and the impact of his death. Great performance, great character throughout the show.
Yeah.
We also want to talk about his plan. But maybe this is a good time to do the poem.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. The title of this episode, Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing, There is a River, and you have found where this originally comes from, this poem.
Yeah. So this is a poem by Rumi, always known, 13th century Sufi mystic. I don't know if people are familiar with Rumi. Um, but so the original poem is a little different. And of course, this wasn't written in English. This is a translation.
Right.
But I'll go ahead and read it because it's pretty short. And I don't know, maybe there's some things to think about here, or at least, I don't know. I enjoy the thematic resonance, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's the
Mm-hmm.
poem. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. That's it. Thoughts about it?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's sort of that. I've read a little bit about this poem, sort of its origins. You mentioned coming from Rumi, mentioning it coming from 13th century. Just the idea of, in that short phrase there, the poem there, how many times we sort of see something about coming together, being together with each other, lie down with you. Um, this idea that being together, meeting someone in a place, um, I thought about specifically Tom and Robbie when I read this poem, right? This
Yeah.
idea of two men wildly different in their backgrounds, wildly different in what their intentions and motivations are, wildly different in what they're trying to do, but they're still out beyond this place trying to find some way to connect, trying to find a way to empathize with one another. And we see specifically Tom do the thing he promised to Robbie about protecting Maeve. I think there's something bigger than just the I'm the good guy, you're the bad guy, I'm after you. He's found something larger than that. I think that's represented at least somewhat in this poem.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking about too. The connection between Tom and Robbie, which lands and you see
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
But I think it is meaningfully beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. I mean, you got the good guy, you got the bad guy, but the kind of connection between them, I think. Look, what I want to say in terms of relating this to the poem is also this bit, right? That it's almost like you can't articulate what that is,
Yeah.
right? Um, between them, it's beyond um language in a certain way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in seeing it in the context of the story, it definitely works and lands. I mean, Tom is really sad when Robbie dies in that car and
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
really trying to save his life.
It's beyond a level of understanding. You understand as we've hinted at here, I'm the good guy, you're the bad guy, I'm after you, we're on opposite sides. But to go beyond that to this level of care and compassion for understanding why they're doing what they're doing, that's sort of the beyond, the out past the right doing and the wrong doing. And be able to sort of synthesize that into these very few moments that Tom and Robbie have together. I mean, I think powerful how they were able to do it, despite it being really a very small fraction of the time in this series.
Yeah. Yeah. And so clearly they're alluding to this poem. I mean, there is a river as opposed to there is a field, but
Right.
Okay, yeah, most of the action's taking place out there by the river, in the river, and so on. Um, so it would seem Robbie's plan was indeed to sell the drugs through Ray's wife, Shelley,
Yeah.
which you said last week didn't seem like a good plan, but seemed like a better plan. Can we piece together what his exact plan was? Like, if we presume if the FBI hadn't been involved,
Yeah.
what was Robbie planning to do?
So my understanding of this is we just saw this scene with him and Shelley saying, I can help you sell the dope.
Yeah.
He's saying, why can I trust you? We think this is a bad idea. We presume as an audience, viewers, this is a horrible idea. This is just the people that tried to rob you of these drugs, right? And so we don't see any end to that. We don't actually see what his decision is there. Clearly, his decision was to say, okay, I'm going to go give Shelley the drugs, try to trust her, maybe give her a cut of whatever it is she can sell them for. She's going to go work with, I guess, Frankie to sell these things because she can have that in with him and then take the decoy bag out with him to the river, knowing that Jason and Perry are going to follow him and go wherever that bag goes. He Ocean's Elevens them, with this bag full of magazines, and all the while, I have to shout out listening to the Watch podcast about this episode, and they made a good point. This episode is so propulsive and has so much action, so much going on. Like I completely forgot about Shelley, forgot about that whole thing happening until she turns up at the end. You're like, oh yeah, there was a conversation
Mhm.
there where Robbie was considering this, and it turns out that's what he decided to do.
Yeah, so I got that part, and I do think it was. I believe that she was going to sell it to some other guy named Lee, who we have not
Mm.
seen.
Okay, so
Right,
not Frankie.
right, right. Um, which is, I mean, I think that's important to note. I guess I don't know if we're ever going to see Lee.
Yeah,
He's going to
yeah,
factor into the story next week. It's possible. But so yeah, it would seem okay. So Robbie says, okay, yeah, we'll do that and we'll get the money. But then his plan becomes to go to Frankie, is the other guy's name, right? Yeah, as you've been saying. Um, kind of knowing that he's going to tip off the dark hearts.
yes, yes.
to set up this confrontation at the cabin.
I think his plan is to die. I think that he doesn't see any way out of that at that point. After he has set up his family, I think he knows he's going to die.
And so he just wants to kill Jason. He just wants to kill
Yeah,
as many
just I'm
dark
going to
hearts as
try to
possible.
take Jason out at the same time. I know I'm going to die, but I just try to get Jason as I go.
Yeah, I guess.
Get them far away from the drugs, get them far away from the money. But yeah, I have to think. I mean, I believe that Robbie knows that the Dark Hearts know that he's involved in all of this, and so therefore there's family left for them to go after. Maybe this the sense of, well, they'll be, the FBI will be after them if the FBI comes in as a part of this as well, so they won't be able to go get Maeve and the kids. It certainly is an innovative plan. I don't know if it was the best plan for his family.
Okay, yeah, no, so I think I got it right because the plan doesn't involve the FBI being there, but this is part of what was hanging me up a little bit because in a lot of ways, I think the FBI being there does not really get in the way of his plan. Um, Part of me was wondering, was he always planning on throwing that bag in the river? I kind of think maybe he was
Yeah,
planning on that
has to be.
too.
Yeah.
But what I just realized is Jason is very stupid
Hmm.
in this scene at the very beginning, right? You've got the standoff between Tom and Robbie where we ended last week, and the Dark Hearts are approaching. Perry is smart here and saying, all right, retreat, get out of here. The feds
Yes.
are here.
Right.
That's no good, right? But Jason can't help himself and tries to shoot Robbie anyway, and that sets the whole thing off where you've got this shootout between the Dark Hearts and the FBI, and Robbie's caught in the middle of that and all of that, right?
Yeah.
But if Robbie's plan was to lure the Dark Hearts there to kill as many of them as possible, and primarily Jason, if Jason hadn't been stupid and
Yep.
if he'd listened to Perry, then the FBI would have ruined his plan.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I think Jason starting that shootout worked even better for Robbie's plan than he would have ever hoped because now he's got sort of two outs for making his plan work. They get away from the FBI. Jason and Perry are able to get free of them, but they chase their tails trying to find this bag in the river. Or if they escape, which they do, now the FBI is after them because they started a shootout with the FBI, and so they're not going to go spend their time looking for Maeve, so Robbie can do his plan either way.
Yeah, okay, I think that's right. I think we got it. How, I mean, this is another thing to circle back around to suspicions on Kath. How Perry and Jason are eluding the FBI is something of a
Yeah, where
question.
I've seen references to there at Donna's house, but it's like, isn't Donna a known sort of collaborator with the Dark Arts? Why would they go? Why would they go there? Where are they hiding exactly?
I'm not sure where they are. I don't know if I don't are they at Donna's house? I'm
I
really
have
not
no
sure.
idea. I have no idea.
But they're definitely like at a house, you know what I mean? And so if there's any connection between that house and the Dark Hearts, yeah, you'd think that the authorities would be able to track that down.
Exactly.
So, maybe not. Maybe they have been savvy enough to have some hideout, but they're also, I don't know, they're also right by the river still looking for the
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah. They're not going far. I mean, they're trying to find this bag. So they're going out at night on the stretch of the river that's not far from where the shootout just happened. So
Yeah, so like you think that the authorities would be scouring that exact area.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens there. They've gotten that bag of magazines. They're mad. They're realizing, I'm sure that yeah, I think you're right. If they don't get arrested, their next move would probably be to go to Maeve's house.
Yeah, that's what worries me. Now that they've discovered this,
Yeah.
if I mean, maybe the FBI's, they think FBI would never look for us back at Robbie's house. So if we figure that either the drugs or the money that came from the drugs is at Robbie's house, that's where we've got to go. And the only people that are there are Maeve, her friend, and the two kids. So that's what worries me a little bit.
Yeah, unless Perry can convince Jason to finally just give up on this.
Yeah, yeah,
Or maybe Perry can't convince Jason to give up on it and ends up killing Jason.
yeah.
Or again, various things are possible.
Well,
Various things are possible.
one of them is gonna one of them is gonna have to kill the other, right? Either Perry killed Jason because he won't give up, or he finds out about Aaron, or Jason kills Perry because he finds out about Aaron. I mean, that's a prediction I feel safe in making, but of course, and I'm probably completely wrong about that.
Yeah, again, we've done a poor job but I mean, I think part of it is that there are various possibilities. So we're talking through those. Lizzie dies. Not the biggest surprise to me that she was the one who ended up dying in all of this. Thoughts about how that went down though?
Yeah, we revisited that scene, a lot of things that we have seen or had referenced before, right? She didn't freeze. She shot the Dark Arts member when she had to. Unfortunately, Grasso did as well, which is what led to her hearing loss, that led to her, getting run over by the truck, not being able to move out of the way in time. Aaliyah's, crack shot abilities came up in this scene. But yeah, now that we knew that Grasso was the mole, now that we know Aaliyah is sort of the straight-laced, I'm the best member of this team and of various different things. It sort of became like, all right, by process of elimination, Lizzie's going to be the one that has to make the sacrifice here.
Yeah, and I mean also because of her budding relationship with Grasso and all of that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
um, which I think has worked well. In that scene when Grasso tells the Dark Arts guy, he says something like, "If you hurt her, I'll kill you."
yeah.
I believed him.
I believe him too. Yeah, I think that Grasso is. Part of me thinks, maybe all of me thinks, he's not in this by choice. Something
Yeah,
happened. He got caught up in something. They bailed him out on something. They have leverage on him. Something. He's not a bad guy. He just has to play both sides because they've got him by the neck in some capacity.
yeah, I tend to think so too. I wonder what that might be. Maybe what's the guy's name again? I want to call him Bagsley. Um,
Michael
maybe
Dorsey, I think.
Michael Dorsey, maybe his boss guy there, um, somehow roped him into doing things in the first place, or something
Yeah,
like that.
very, very interesting relationship between those two. Kind of like an abusive father of sorts. Kind of like, yeah, somebody who took him under his wing and showed him the dark side of being part of the police force and what you can, how you can benefit yourself. And now he's out. And now he's in it and can't get out of it.
Yeah, something like that, right? Um, and the specter is raised in the scene between the two of them of the possibility of Grasso deciding to cooperate and fess
Yeah,
up,
yeah, yeah,
um, which of course he's told to not do
yeah.
with some violence, um, because he's sad for sure that Lizzie has died and so on. So I don't know how that's going to come to a head. And again, circling back to it, the way that Tom goes over there and says, "I'm coming for you," started making me worry about Tom again.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably the central decision as to whether it's at all possible for this to be a second season show or not. If we lose everybody, I mean, clearly we're done. But yeah, if I'm Tom, I'm not going over there alone and accusing Grasso of what he's accusing him of. Maybe because he's under investigation, he's under so much heat that he knows he's not going to do anything to him. But yeah, I mean that was certainly a bold move right there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, why do you do that? I guess the motivation, it makes sense, I guess. The motivation has to be something like this, that, we've been on the same team, we've been working together, we have a relationship.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to fess up right
to
now.
do to do the right thing. Both Grasso and Robbie have spent time talking to Tom about forgiveness and about justification and mercy and these ideas of what does it take to get past the things that you've done wrong. And Grasso has a little bit of that in their conversation towards
Yeah.
the end of this episode. So he's looking for the answer. I just don't know if Tom's ready to give that to him since he sold out his task force.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting theme, right? Because, of course, we can think about forgiveness in the context of Christianity. We have Tom's background as a priest. Grasso's asking him about confession, which is
Hmm.
something I've always thought is interesting. I've never been Catholic. I've never gone to confession personally, but it's always seemed to me that what Tom says is basically right.
Yeah,
The confession is a human practice, right?
right.
That's for you. It's not for God.
That's right.
So, but then I think it also should get us thinking about the difference, I don't know, conceptually and practically, I guess, between a notion of like divine forgiveness
Hmm.
versus human forgiveness.
Yep.
And here's Tom himself feeling unable to forgive his son Ethan.
Yes.
Um, he talked the talk, as a priest,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to it in this more concrete way, can he forgive? And I think
Yeah.
that that is something that's going to factor in to the finale next week for
Yeah, it's
sure.
much easier, I imagine. I've never been a priest nor dealt with any kind of confession, but much easier to tell people to forgive others than to have to actually put it into practice and do it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was going to say always. I guess I could say always. I've always found the concept to be interesting, but maybe I don't mean quite always because I do have a particular kind of reference point in terms of the way the notion of forgiveness factors in Hegel's
Yeah.
philosophy, um, where I think it's really clear, and I bought it fully in on this line personally in terms of thinking about forgiveness, that there is something in forgiveness itself that is sort of transcendent, right? In other words, if you accept someone's reasons,
Hmm.
well, potentially you're excusing them.
Yeah.
That's not forgiving them. I think
That's right.
in
That's
my
right.
mind, there's a conceptual distinction, right? So it's only really forgiveness when it is you're still in the space of thinking of what they did as a wrong,
Hmm.
but you're forgiving it. You're
Yep.
absolving
Yep.
it. In a way where you could never say that you should or you ought to, right? Or there are so anyway,
Yep.
that's how I think about it, which is like I also think a very Christian way to think about it, but so with Tom and Ethan, that's going to come to a head in some way,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I think there will be some thematic resonance and some connection between Tom and Grosso and Tom and Ethan that we'll see in this finale. Again, that for that one, I hope we're right about that.
Yeah. And we can tie it back into thinking about Robbie, right? Beyond any ideas of right doing and wrongdoing is also getting at some space of transcendence or something like that,
Right.
right? And I think you could think about it in this way. Tom can forgive Robbie, even though Robbie's a bad guy and he's done all this
That's right.
stuff, you know what I mean? Can it kind of enter into that sort of space. I don't know if he can forgive Grasso, but it's also in that scene where they're talking about confession. Part of the point, right, is that you actually are contrite in some way,
Yes.
you know. So if Grasso isn't, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
rambling around about Christianity and forgiveness now, I guess.
That's part of what I hope we see in the finale is what type of person is Grosso actually. We've known him as um a compassionate person, just his FBI partner. We've known him as a mole within the partner with the dark arts, but is he someone who, it's not as simple as thinking of it as wrongdoing and right doing or good and evil, but is he someone who is is compassionate and looks to, yeah, I actually want to try to save this person or save this situation or get out of this, or is he just, no, I'm a part of this. I'm a part of this, this organization or what's happening here, and just that's all I
Yeah.
can be. That's all I can do.
Yeah. Does he try to weasel his way out of it? Is he a
Yeah.
weasel? Or um does he in some way come clean
Yeah.
in a redemptive kind of way?
I was gonna
Those
say,
are the
is
two
there is
main
there a
possibilities.
redemptive
Yeah.
hero moment coming for for Grasso. That's what I'm very interested to see.
Yeah, me too. You want to talk about Sam a little bit more, maybe? I feel like we haven't talked about Sam enough. I'm not sure what I want to say. She
Yeah,
mentioned in
just
our
a
notes he got
you
his
know, it's
Lego.
so in that scene, so it reflected back to one of the first times we saw Sam, and he's with Robbie after they've taken him from his home, and he says, my parents told me once I finished, all of the books and read all the things I was assigned, I'd be able to get my Batman Legos. Am I going to be able to get my Batman Legos? And then when he walks into Tom's house holding that, got a few little things building up in my eyes at that moment because I just
Yeah,
thought, man, Sam has been going through it, and he just needs something like this. Whether or not that's Tom's house, I don't know. It's a very odd situation, but just to see that someone actually cares about him and hopefully can give him the attention that he needs. Yeah, just I'll be interested to see where Sam ends up at the end of the finale.
yeah, me too. And Maeve too took him to the store to get the Batman Lego, and he didn't get the Legos that night either.
Didn't get it. Yeah, yeah.
He's finally got his, like, he's a sweet kid, you know.
Making Gertie out of Legos. Yeah,
I don't know that the plan is even that that Tom is going to like adopt him or
yeah,
anything. Although that would be, I don't know, cool, I guess,
yeah.
but that he's taking him in as opposed to him being in that facility, right? So
That's right.
I think
That's
the
right.
plan is still for Sam to be taken, to have other foster parents or be adopted by someone else. But we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what happens there. It did resonate the fact that when he goes to see Sam, I mean, I thought before they explained what was going on there that he was walking into the prison to see Ethan. And
Me
then they say,
too.
well, he's actually seeing Sam, but he is in a prison that was turned into some sort of youth facility or foster facility. Um, and yeah, just this the resonance there of what's going to happen in this situation and how does Ethan play into it? And Ethan's going to prison for some amount of time, and so does Sam sort of become the proxy for, I can do right by somebody. Be curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, me too. And the family dynamics, and we didn't really get to meet Sarah's estranged husband.
No, we just saw him and he's gone with the baby.
They've been talking about him the whole show.
I know.
When's Andy coming? Yeah. Guess he's not really going to be a character in the show unless he
Yeah, yeah.
shows up in some way next week. So yeah, I think that about covers it. Anything else you want to hit on before we wrap up here?
No, I loved this episode. Loved it, loved it. Um, I don't. I hope the finale can live up to the level of this one, but we'll see. A lot of to loose ends still be tied up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least I hope it ends well.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, it's not uncommon for like the penultimate episode to be the best episode of a series,
Yes. That's
And
right.
so episode 7, the finale, doesn't necessarily have to be quote unquote better, but hopefully it ends the series well. I agree. This one was really good. You've got your action sequences. I mean, you mentioned tearing up about Sam. Yeah. And 4 or 5 other times too. You can point to where it was like, oh, eyes are wet.
Will
So
will Tom Pelphrey for lead and Fabian Frankel for supporting get Emmy nominations for this show? If you ask me right now, I'd say yes.
probably winning is another question,
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know about the Emmys anymore, man. Do you nominate two for lead?
Yeah, that I
Is
mean, I
that
think I expressed this last week. I'd give it to Pelfrey, but maybe Ruffalo has a big moment coming in the finale. I don't know.
yeah, agreed. I think Ruffalo did win for I Know This Much Is True.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I've been thinking about that show a bit. I mean, I suppose these are the similarities. It's an HBO miniseries with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also pretty heavy. I mean, I Know This Much Is True is arguably heavier than Task. So, but all right, looking forward to the finale next week. Thanks as always for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. If so, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate it. You can follow TV Obsessive on social media. If you search for TV Obsessive, you should find us. And do check out the website, TVObscast.com, where you can find written work on any number of TV shows, past and present. We'll be back with you next week for the finale of Task.
Looking forward to it. See you then.